my name is Elizabeth Bast. My Bwiti name is Mbeye, which means the river. The river is my greatest teacher and who I am. I'm so grateful to be a Bwiti initiate and to have a decade of very intimate relationship with this medicine, and to be traditionally trained as a provider alongside my husband, Gnynagou, who is a Nima of the tradition, which is one of the highest levels of healer in the tradition, ordained through Gnynagou, the Grand Master of the Asangwidia Missoko Bwiti branch. And we are very grateful to serve with his blessing and collaboration. And there's a hummingbird. Thank you, hummingbird. And our intention is to go back to Africa every year and be students forever and have good sets of eyeballs on us and everything that we do here, and to be in collaboration and to be in reciprocity with our community, which is the sacred law of nature. So we are very grateful to be here and to witness miracles all the time of people healing themselves with this medicine. I'm also a trauma-informed yoga teacher of a 30-year practice of meditation and sutra study. And I completed the Being True to You coaching program, which is a very in-depth, comprehensive psychedelic integration and addiction recovery program. So I'm so honored also to be here with you, Annette, and I'll invite Trisha to introduce herself. I'm so honored to support.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Trisha. I am a student at SoulCentro, and I am also going to be one of the co-facilitators of this retreat. Outside of this, I am a visionary healer, and my life's work has been creating mental health supports for students and for people in addiction recovery programs. Outside of that, I am so grateful to be here and to learn and to try and support everyone here. And I also have coaching experience in sex, love, and relationships, as well as mental fitness coaching.
Basi. And we say Basi, which is truth, like a very sacred word up.
I love that.
Yeah, and so much more.
Yes.
You know, talk a little more.
Okay. Community is my life, I would say. Since a child, I have been into, volunteering, and that volunteering spirit really came into what I consider visionary healing, where I do community projects based on healing experiences I have had personally, or ancestral healing that I've experienced. And it's wonderful work. And originally I'm from Canada, where I'm like a smaller town in Canada, I would say. But now I'm really grateful because as I've been healing with the medicine is opening up my visionary healing to more global stages. And that just means that I get to really do what I know that I was born to do, and that Iboga showed me that I was born to do, which is heal the collective. And create as many resources so I can support students. I'm a lifetime student, I would say. I call myself a professional student because I'm always ready to learn. And through that, now I learned that my purpose and my soul's purpose is to go help the collective, whether it be hands-on healing, whether it be providing, info supports, or whether it be through prayer. And all those things were truly guided to me through 5 years of working with Iboga and Iboga.
What's longer than that, Iboga?
Oh, yes. 5 years with Iboga, 3 years with Iboga, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, that's an act to follow. I'm so glad, this is a very special time. I'm so happy to be here. Elizabeth and I connected about a year and a half ago, I believe. And it's coming to fruition now, which is just so exciting. And I should probably introduce myself. So I'm Annette. Annette Franklin, and I am an integration coach, as well as a participant in this experience. I am so excited. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida, and I've been working with these medicines for about different ones for many years. And this is my homecoming. This is a return to myself, a return to my roots, a return to that which is. And I am thrilled to have found a home with SoulCentro. And I feel that it's just such a perfect match for me and my journey and my experience. And I'm just so honored to be able to bring my journey and see who else, aligns and feels that their call is to a women's Iboga space. That's just so exciting for me that we get to create that container. And so that's what this session is really about, to be an invitation, because each of us are an invitation. Our stories are an invitation. And so we get to be together in those, and it's really beautiful. So I'm so happy to be here.
I see. Thank you so much, Annette. Thank you. Oh, Iboga, and welcome, Whitney, to the call. We have 22 people who signed up, and this is a very intimate group, which is very lovely because we can talk more fully with each other. The call is being recorded, just so you're aware. So Iboga, I'm so grateful for this medicine teacher. Such a genius medicine. This is a root from Central West Africa that is the medicine is found in an inner layer of the root bark. And it takes us into the root of ourselves. A lot of medicines are transcendent, which is important to know who we are beyond ourselves, to be baptized in the infinite. And this medicine will take us deep, 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 deep into who we are in this lifetime. And of course, that involves our ancestors. This is a medicine to study our ancestors. Elephants eat Iboga. Elephants eat Iboga. Elephants will show up all the time in people's Iboga's journeys without them even knowing the relationship to it. And they will take their young ones on long pilgrimages to lovingly fondle the bones of their ancestors. They will, I've seen the footage, they will fondle the bones and they remember. So there's all of the neurogenesis that the medicine offers. They have very good memories. They are very intelligent. They are very loving and protective and social, powerful beings. So that's very special, the ancestral connection. And human beings have been working with fire for about 1.7 million years. And I see that Iboga has been in relationship with human beings for probably longer than that. And watching us and teaching us. In the origin story of Iboga, in the nutshell version, the first experience a woman had, and it was two women at the beginning. The first experience a woman had, and this is from our tradition, there's different stories and different Bwiti traditions. So the first person who took it, it was by accident. She didn't know it was actually in the intestines of a porcupine that her husband had found in a trap. She ate the porcupine because they eat the intestines, and then had her experience. So it was an accident. And then they started to do indigenous research. They started to do the research. And then the second woman, because the chief, as the story goes, was too afraid to try it himself, so he asked his wife. And so his wife came and experienced the medicine very intentionally. She experienced the medicine intentionally, which is different, right? To come to a spirit, and of course, in that framework of seeing, it's not just taking a material substance. We are engaging in a relationship. We are introducing ourselves. We are coming to understand the deeper intelligence of a being, not just a thing to take. So at that point, the spirit of Iboga appeared and introduced itself and said, hello, because introductions are important. Who are you? Iboga said, I've been watching you humans for a very long time. And you love to ask questions. You ask all kinds of questions. What is God? What is life? How can I be happy? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I? How can I be a good mother? How can I be a good daughter? How can I be a good friend or partner? All of these questions. And Iboga said, I have come to answer your questions. And I see that in the way it goes in nature, that this plant studied us. It listened to us. It dug its bones, its roots into our bones and listened to us. And I see that it could see where we were going too. Us children, it's our ancestor. And it cultivated its very particular medicine for us. And there's very, very particular phenomenon of this medicine. Like there's modalities that support the functions of the medicine, but sometimes they happen spontaneously. Life review, very distinct life review, a mind purge, which is a dump of all the contents of the psyche. It's like a high colonic to the head. Or like when you're going through your basement, when you're going through your basement, you can't just donate, excuse me, you can't just donate all the boxes to Goodwill. You have to go through every box and find the heirlooms that are important to keep, and the heirlooms you need to let go of and pass on and release or transform or repurpose. So there's this going through the entire psyche like no other medicine. And very particular phenomenon related to, there's much more, but related to the human being mind. And for me, this has been the ultimate medicine for the human being mind. To be in relationship with my mind, to understand the purpose of my mind, to harness the power of our mind. With 80,000 thoughts a day, that even when we sleep, we are still using our mind. When we dream, this powerful tool in coming to understand that every thought is a privilege. Every thought is a privilege, and I am so grateful to this medicine for teaching me and to be an instrument of divine inspiration and to study myself forever. And all of the layers of karmic residue from all of the lifetimes. This medicine cleanses the body like no other medicine. It is the deepest purge of the mind, body, spirit. It excavates trauma like no other medicine I have encountered. It dredges to the very depths of who we are and will take out. What's so interesting, over and over, people will come here to SoulCentro, and by the way, served many hundreds of individual treatments that we see. People come from many years and many ceremonies of ayahuasca and peyote and machuma and all the other sacred medicines, which are so sacred in their purpose, in the curriculum of life for us, in their timing. But they will come and they will say, I thought I was done with that. I thought I was over that. I thought I healed that. And bringing people to sometimes the most challenging day of their life, looking at themselves and being with the sacred medicine of regret and the sacred art of grief in the deepest, deepest moral learning of our lives, of who we are and what's important to us. And to see the beauty of people coming through that. We see the Iboga facelift. We see, when people come through 2 ceremonies, not 1. 2 are an important minimum. The first one is often the shake up, scrub down. The second one is a deepening. The temple has to be cleaned first. That's why it's such a shame that this medicine is known as a drug detox medicine. Because that's just what it does with its pinky finger, scratching the surface of why it has arrived here to human beings, and especially at this time. That's just cleaning the temple. And by the way, yes, it can take someone off of opioids in 24 or 48 hours with mitigating withdrawals. But that's not what it's here to do. And we don't take people like that. We invite people to do preliminary detox, to present themselves in the best possible way for the indigenous purposes of this medicine, which are, yes, trauma healing, answering the questions, knowing the purpose of life, knowing what life is, clearly, to have a life without doubt, to have a life without indecision, to understand who we are and what we want, and to move like a laser through our lives. And holistic wellness. People bring questions about their holistic wellness around food, around modalities, around the care that they need, because every being is individual. And in the colonized system, everyone has been so entrained since day one to listen to the expert in themselves, to learn facts and figures of everything outside of ourselves instead of studying here, studying who we are, studying what makes us tick. So outsourcing, and much respect to experts who support the inner knowing of the being, and to study ourselves. The greatest guru is here, and the best gurus will teach you to listen to that guru. Yeah, it is ourselves. Sovereignty is very important in the Bwiti. Sovereignty is very important. And visionary creativity. Visionary, soul-aligned creativity and solutions. I would like to invite the climate change scientists to be here. I would like to invite the policymakers to be here, the educators to be here, the people who can make change. And what we see, people coming through here and actually literally doing something to clean up the oceans. Coming out of here and literally changing their whole packaging company to be sustainable. Bast. That is the integration. To listen to what the whales need. That is integration. So that is a true purpose of this medicine, and much more. They take microdoses in the jungle hunting. This is a hunter's medicine. For in lighter doses, it's very stimulating. It helps us to have endurance and focus and clarity. It's very invigorating. It often shows up in a very masculine way in light doses, a warrior medicine. Not always. And it's a gender fluid medicine. It will sometimes be the father and sometimes be the mother. And there's different ways that they show up. And they can both be very severe and very loving. And to love that stern teaching. This is a medicine for people who love the truth. Who love the truth. Who want to build a life on a strong foundation of the truth and not fantasy or obsession or wishful thinking. Like, this is a truth medicine. And the Bwiti, just to share some about the Bwiti is a study of life. The Bwiti is a study of life, and that never ends. And we study together, and everyone's voice is important in the community. And there's 3 walls in the Bwiti temple and 1 open wall. And that means, do you know what that means?
Oh, no.
Pop quiz. That means that anyone can come at any time. And anyone can go. Anyone is free to go at any time. There is no cult here. We are not here to separate people from anybody. We're not here to tell people what to think. And the Bwiti do not like beliefs. A belief is an artificial construct that they have seen can make people behave in terrible ways. The French colonists coming in with their beliefs that made them so disconnected from their nature and others. There are no beliefs. There is only the art of knowing. And how do we know what's true? This is what we study together. How do we know what's true? How do we? Well, the best way I can sum it up, there was this very clever, PhD student in clinical psychology who came. And we talked about this in the fire talks on site, because there are fire talks where we hold the oral tradition and we all study truth and life together. And we talked about how there's no beliefs. And the Bwiti do not trust beliefs. It's about knowing. And stick with what you know and not have all these fantastical ideas about spirituality and, you know, a lot of the nonsense that's out there in the 10th dimension or whatever. It's not relevant here. And so he asked in a journey, because we bring our questions to the medicine. People can bring questions to the medicine for their experience that are answered in a number of ways, one of them being a traditional guided soul journey modality. And so he asked, what do the Bwiti people believe is true? And I was journeying him. And so I took him to Africa, to a temple full of Bwiti people, and I said, ask them. And he asked them, and they all started laughing and couldn't agree. And I thought, maybe he didn't listen when we said, the Bwiti don't like beliefs. And so I asked it anyway. I'm like, I'll ask it anyway, see what happens. And then I riffed. And I said, what do the Bwiti people know is true? And he asked that. And immediately one of them pointed at the fire. What happens if you don't believe in fire? What happens if you don't believe in fire? You will get burned. You will get burned. Right? Yeah. So the Bwiti say, how do you know it's true? At least 3 of your senses. Intuition is a sense, but some people go only on intuition and they get buried down fantastical rabbit holes or projections. You know, getting all wrapped up in their mind. And instead, the senses, the body knowing is very sacred. The senses connect us to our spirit by inviting presence and connection and knowing who we are in relationship to others. You need at least 3 senses to know what is true, for it to be at least relevant for us in this life. What is true? At least 3 senses. And that is a really beautiful teaching to verify with your own experience. You know, to verify, that's all about direct experience. There's nothing that you ever, like the other day, like only talk about what you received through lineage that you have road tested yourself, that you have integrated yourself. And then the oral tradition holds us so that we can road test for ourselves. So that is a little bit about the Bwiti. And it is, you know, the term from the West is animism. This is about relationship with spirits and being students of spirits. We are students of the stars. We are student of the sun. We are student of the moon. I am a student of the river. I'm a devotee of the river, to be making offerings, to be listening, to be in relationship, to sit with and to contemplate the teaching of the hummingbird, the teaching of the butterfly, to be students and members of a collective ecosystem. That is Bwiti. That's a little bit about the medicine, a little bit about the Bwiti, and it is a very complex medicine that is not for everyone. It is a privilege to have the right kind of mind and body for this medicine. And we do very careful medical screening. In the West here, we see all the time medical histories, medical conditions, drug histories that they don't see in Africa, that they rarely encounter. And they have a whole different system of healing from day one, infancy in the jungle apothecary, and their system of healing that they care in a different way. They screen in a different way. And oh, they have some very sophisticated screening and things. But over here, we need to look at the heart. And we're very careful at SoulCentro, and that's our respect for the medicine. That's our respect for our container, that we have a doctor here, Dr. Douglas Rosales, who is such a blessing. He has a 15-year relationship with this medicine. 15 years overseeing over 2,000 plus treatments, studying this medicine and in a sacred relationship with this medicine. He is becoming a Bwiti initiate. He is such a gentle spirit, an ethical spirit, and he oversees all of our test screening along with our intake nurse, a critical care nurse named Bodhi Chapman, who we're very grateful for. So they are the gatekeepers coming in to create safety, and Douglas is on site the entire time the medicine is activated until the last day of the retreat. He's here and available 24/7. We're always available 24/7 in this very deep process, which can be very strong over 48 hours. In its different phases as it grounds. And for some people, one more day. But it's tender, deep work. And I just want to open up. Would you like to share about your relationship with the medicine and your gratitudes for the medicine?
Yes, of course. When I started with the medicine, I was in detox, and I heard the common misconception, two common misconceptions. Number one, that it's for detox purposes only. Number two, it's like a switch, so it resets you. And that is not correct. What I learned as I was building a relationship with the medicine is it gave me the roadmap to officially get my healing, but also reconnecting with my soul.
Bast.
And what I will say is when I was in my addiction phase of life, which was in my 20s, it was because I was struggling in university. I was struggling with developing healthy, partnerships with potential love interests. And I was just awkward in certain ways. And I feel like what happened with the medicine was it connected me to my soul. And my addiction came from not being connected to my soul. It's easy to get lost in the darkness when you don't have the light, which is your soul. And, Gnynagou says something very important. He says, from a child, you are born with your soul directly connected to you. You're in your purest form. But as you, even at 5, 6, even younger than that, there are minor and large traumas that can happen. And as each trauma persists, the soul moves further and further away. Now, this was happening to me from the time I was a child because everyone has trauma. And after I spoke to the medicine, I understood just how far my soul was from my physical body. And I remember the first Iboga ceremony, not Iboga, Iboga ceremony I had in a traditional setting where I literally woke up and felt my soul there. And that was when everything changed. And, I got to look at my actions and I got to look at the ways that I was, hurting people inadvertently. I got to look at the ways I was hurting myself and my soul, more importantly, hurting my soul. And it was time for me to take action. And what Iboga does is it guides you to inspired action. And inspired action is where the gold is. Because it's so guided in not only your own healing, but how your healing is going to heal others. And me being the only member of the family that has built a relationship with Iboga, the teachings I learned from Iboga are rippling through my family. And we're learning ways to communicate better. I got to learn my sister and my mom's love languages because they're so polar opposite of mine. And it took time. It took time to learn. So through the first 4 years of me, taking the medicine for my own healing, the medicine was very clear. Now it's time for you to help others and serve others this medicine. So now it's time for you to take the steps to become a teacher in the future. And then that meant, accountability. So I can't be a teacher that then goes and cheats on the test. I have to be the teacher that teaches through my actions. And Iboga showed me, they're like, you can't be cheating. You gotta follow the right path, the Iboga path, and you have to understand that your actions will always ripple out to other people when you embark
Mm.
on the journey of a teacher.
Mhm.
And that is something that I learned from Elizabeth and Gnynagou,
Mm.
because of the fact that I see how they embody the teachings of the medicine throughout their own life as parents and as holders of the medicine that hold these containers.
Mm.
And when you're with the wrong teacher, which I learned, when you get that pinky, that is actually more damaging because you're only getting a tiny, tiny bit of it. But
Mhm.
with detox, you need deep learning.
Basi.
If you only do
Basi.
the detox, you don't learn, and then that's where relapse happens.
Basi.
But yes, that is my experience with the medicine.
Oh, gold falling out of her mouth. I'm writing it down.
Basi.
Basi. Thank you, Trisha.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's such an honor to support you.
Oh, I'm so grateful. So grateful.
And just quickly to share a couple more things. It is an incredible privilege for myself and my husband to hold this medicine. I am a white presenting person. From the West, it is an incredible privilege that I ever get to interface with this medicine. And I bow to our teachers that have asked us to hold it here. And my husband, who I walk with, who comes home to his ancestral tradition. I had the gift of hearing his ancestors whisper when he was in detox, when he was in opioid relapse a decade ago, to hear his ancestors call him home, and he was smart enough to listen. And we came here, and it was like being in our first journey, it was like being at the Super Bowl, of seeing and feeling all of his ancestors welcoming him home. And it is my privilege to share privilege. Privilege is for sharing privilege. And that's why I am here. It is my greatest honor to see homecomings and to support and learn from each person who gets lit up by the medicine. I am so, so, so privileged and honored to learn from everybody. And the Mabundi. So the Mabundi is the sister tradition of the Bwiti. And this is the women's only. Yeah, exactly. It's like that. They have their own temples. I am a student of the Mabundi and on a pathway to becoming a nganga, which is a healer within this tradition. I'm in my process. I'm returning to Africa with that schedule. Basi. Thank you, Whitney. To go back this year with our 2.5-year-old medicine baby, who actually planned to SoulCentro. Ngadi is responsible. Ngadi Nadumu, lightning and thunder, is our baby. And we're very grateful to him. He is a connector and shows up for many people in their journeys. And this is such a gift to celebrate the joy of life. The Bwiti and the Mabundi have so much medicine to share with the West. I'm really curious about the psychedelic renaissance, where it's all about just taking the thing in the therapist's office, which can be really helpful. But the other pieces that the Bwiti and Mabundi have to teach us, in which they hold the medicine, the community relationships. The medicine is only as good as the relationships that hold it. It is the drumming, it is the dancing, it is the singing, it is the regular ceremony, it is people knowing your sacred name and holding you accountable for your homework from the medicine. That, and even the very way of respect of coming to the medicine and harvesting it out of the ground with a permission ritual, with singing to the medicine. The way we come to the medicine is the answer to our prayers. So the Bwiti know this. How carefully do we come, with how many offerings and devotion? So this is what wants to be shared with you, and we want to talk about too, women's only spaces. Why are women's only spaces important? Annette, would you like to share for a couple minutes around that?
Yes, I can. So, in my initial search for this journey, I thought so many things. You talk about knowing, right? This has been a journey of knowing very much. I believed that this was going to be a journey for me and my husband. I believed that this was going to be, I didn't know if it was going to happen. And then over time, more information began to reveal itself, and it showed me that this was my journey. This was a way for me to break codependency. This was a way for me to break love addiction. This was a way for me to connect with, adoption and foster care and, all of these things, the different trauma communities that I have been attached to for my life, for the family's generations in my family, that I carry, that I've been the carrier for, and my experience with ayahuasca, I sat with ayahuasca for about 5 years ago. And I have seen, since I said yes to Iboga, the integrations from ayahuasca have happened like dominoes. Like it has been, and most particularly my women's ayahuasca ceremony. Because I've only done one, and I was so avoidant of that container. Like, oh my goodness. The girls who were with me were like, they know, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot be in an ayahuasca women's ceremony. No, thank you. I'm not doing it. And then through time, I warmed up a little more. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I was fully embodied. I was present. There, all the what ifs, energies, that connotations, right, that I had attached to being a woman those constructs got to get quieted, hushed, revealed. And so as I began to step towards Iboga, I had this vision of myself. There's an artist who painted this picture of a jaguar being held by a woman in a red dress. And I was in my combo ceremony, and one of the girls had posted that the day after. And I was like, that's me. Oh my God. That's me. And at this point, I didn't know anything about red. I didn't know anything about Iboga. Like I didn't know anything. And I just knew that this picture was a journey I'm supposed to take. There's moonlight walking on the path I'm supposed to, and then it was just like unfolding. And so as soon as I claimed that image as my own, as my journey, then I started to see the rest of the picture. And that picture only showed women in the space. And I was like, I was having dreams and everything. There's only women in this space. And I'm like, but I don't see any women's ceremonies. I'm looking around, I looked at your website. I initially chose my birthday because I was like, that's my 7-year ayahuasca birthday, that'll do. And then, Elizabeth and I kept moving forward. And I had a dream that I was supposed to do a women's Iboga. And then I look on the website and there it is. And I'm losing my mind because I'm like, well, that had been there the whole time, I'm presuming. Or it's not, and I don't even know when that's
added. It was added at a point.
You see? So it was added, and all of a sudden it's added, and all of a sudden I'm like, there it is. And in my life, I had needed more time. I wanted to really anchor in preparation. I really wanted to anchor in, this group that we're creating, that there's plenty of time for us to really bond before we sit with this medicine together. As an integration coach, I am number one about preparation. Integration and preparation are the same thing in my world. When you do them with intention and with real like accordance to your trauma, honestly, when you prepare for your big T trauma that you want to unpack and you face them, them in the beginning, you're not going in blind. You go in present with yourself as you are. And for me, coming to that place of recognizing that it's all been leading up to this and it will all continue after this is been so rewarding. And so I've been in prayer for the women who will join us, and I'm excited to meet them.
Thank you. Thank you, Annette. Oh, I love that story. Much appreciation. And I see that when women come together and when men come together separately, it's very empowering. So that we come to our relationships together from that place of empowerment, and that's how we have the healthiest relationships. And I speak in a very binary way because it is a very binary culture with such a broader range of expression of what's considered masculine and feminine, which is interesting. And they keep secrets from each other. That, oh, you can't live without the women and you can't live without the men. Only men make the torches, only women make the babongo paste, you know, all the things. So in that way, it's very different with interdependence. So thank you. Thank you for sharing about that. And yes, very empowering. Thank you for bringing up codependence. Right? Yeah, very, very beautiful and empowering. And I'd love to have another call before we meet too. Yeah, and drop in. Thank you. Why are women's spaces important, do you feel? Women's only.
You know, there is a safety that comes from being in a container with like minds that are all expressing their divine feminine energy. And Iboga is the teacher of how you can open up your truest divine essence. And I think that it's really hard to do that in a male-female space because there's so many energies going around. So in this container, it's a full divine feminine energy. And when you have that energy, we get to heal each other, but while we heal ourselves, and it's exponential when you feel the power of, you know, however many women come together, and then there's that burst of energy. It's just going to make the medicine stronger and the healing more impactful. That's what I would say.
Basi, thank you.
I think a lot of women are scared to share that and scared to, you know, not have that masculine presence because it's a protection. But when you're with everyone who all feels safe together, knowing that we're all here to be a collective and not individuals that are trying to find safety, then that's where the true gold is.
Basi.
So it'll be exciting.
Basi. Thank you. Yes. A few logistics and we'll open up for questions. August 3rd through 10th are our dates. And all of the details that's included in a retreat is on our website at soulcentro.com/retreats. All the things that go into every retreat, all the things that are included, like your airport shuttle and organic farm-to-table gourmet food, very, very nourishing food. That's a very important part of what we do here. That's customized for each individual's needs. The medical support, Dr. Douglas will be the only man that's available on site. He will mostly be to himself except when he is of service, which includes like taking vitals before ceremony, checking in with people, and checking pulse when we administer medicine. So he's present minimally. And we're here in Costa Rica, in the land of the Chorotega, in the Guanacaste, southern part of it's the southern part of the Nicoya Peninsula, which is the peninsula that's on the northwest side. We're in the southern part of that. And it's all there, what's included. Normally, the retreats before tax are $4,400, which allows us to, really, it's just the retreat, to produce the retreat. But I'd like to offer that anyone on this call or anyone listening to this call can receive an extra $200 of a discount as our offering to you, an invitation to you for joining this particular group.